I never wanted to make content on this channel that focused on attacking or criticizing political personalities as hard as this video does. I didn't even expect this project to be so long. However, I believe there are a lot of things in this video that needed to be said, and a lot of the messages can be applied to many more people other than Jimmy Dore. There are many channels on YouTube that are in the exact same vein as Jimmy Dore. His brand is obviously growing. He's obviously inspired a certain genre of political coverage. The reason why I made this video is because I feel like his output is negatively affecting progressive causes. I feel like he misguides his audience and intentionally goes out of his way to disaffect potential leftist allies. His influence cannot be overstated or underestimated, which is why I just kept adding more and more content to this project. Overall, the point of this video is not just that Jimmy can do so much better, it's that you can do so much better than Jimmy. I hope this video can be used as a reference point. It took me a while, but please enjoy. So you guys ready? Because I sure the hell am not. So this video has been a long time coming. Ever since Jimmy's meltdown over AOC and the force the vote dilemma, both of which were a month after my second Jimmy Dore video entitled The Problem with Jimmy Dore. What really sparked it was the drama he fueled regarding Kyle Kulinski and Jimmy Dore's admitted sexual harassment of Ana Kasparian, which I was like, okay, it's time to make a follow-up. It's been a long time coming, as I said, and we'll definitely get into that later on in this video. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe for more content and follow me on Twitter at statelesspatry2.
I'm a contrarian. I'm a contrarian.
All right. Hey, just real quick, for the inevitable Jimmy Dore Defense League that's going to come in and be like,
you're just spouting TYT, talking points, so you let TYT harass.
I don't even watch TYT.
Sure, they're properly informed. I mean, you have a great show. You gave us some other examples. What other tips do you have for people?
So my tips for people is that whenever you hear the government tell you something, I start from the premise is the government is lying, and now I just have to figure out what they're lying about specifically.
For those of you who think that Jimmy is still a lefty because he says he wants progressive policies but attacks the people that have the ability to make it a reality, Jimmy Dore literally defends the Boogaloo Boys and thinks Tulsi Gabbard is more left-wing than Bernie fucking Sanders. He buys into the bullshit put out by the Gray Zone, which deserves its home video. He regularly attacks the Justice Dems, and he acts as if Trump isn't worse than Joe Biden and the Clintons. He doesn't subscribe to the concept of the lesser of two evils, which is what I talk about in my first video about him, right here. Jimmy Dore still doesn't get it. He thinks because the United States is horrible, that means that somehow the Assad government in Syria and Putin in Russia are just fine. They're just fine. Just like the Gray Zone, who seem to think that any criticism of Syria and Russia are just CIA talking points, neocon propaganda, and pro-war imperialist McCarthyism, whatever the fuck. While Jimmy likes to claim that Trump broke the brains of liberals, liberals broke the brain of Jimmy. He's not a progressive, he's politically illiterate, and he doesn't understand a fucking thing, which is why I've made this video. I have a lot of examples to go over.
People are saying that I need to be nicer to people to get on board with Medicare for all. They're supposed to be being fucking nice to me. Do you realize that? Do you realize you have it backwards? I'm not supposed to fucking court them. They're supposed to court me.
So one disturbing thing I've noticed is the type of personality-obsessed fans he's attracted, as well as just the worst kind of people imaginable. Richard Spencer likes him. Sargon of Akkad likes him. And the Nazi rag Stormfront likes him. That says way more about the content that Jimmy puts out than it does about his ability to make literal fascists become left. So to start off with, here's well-known ethno-nationalist Sargon of Akkad, aka Carl Benjamin, praising Jimmy Dore.
I see that the Young Turks is falling apart still. I love watching it. I love Jimmy Dore's just so great at the moment. Do you guys watch Jimmy Dore? I love Jimmy Dore. Like, I love watching him just from a totally common sense and very reasonable perspective. Like, I'm not a leftist, but I feel that Jimmy Dore is the kind of leftist you could have a conversation with, and he wouldn't be crazy. Like a traditional sort of old left, not an unpatriotic, communist. And I love watching him just taking massive just haymakers, like Kyle Kulinski, Ana Kasparian, Cenk, Uygur, all these people. It's just amazing to watch, amazing. And the thing is, he's right. That's the thing. Jimmy Dore, the spitting lizard, has turned into the correct moral exemplar of the left. Love it.
Man, wouldn't you believe it? The moral exemplar, huh? One of the non-crazy ones, huh? In this video, we're going to address a lot of the bullshit that Sargon said right there. See, the thing is, similar to Trump fans, Jimmy does a good job of triggering the left, which is what people like Sargon consider an ideology. It's the only motivator behind their content. And to people like Sargon, Jimmy attacks people that Sargon will consider the radical left. Yet there are self-described socialists that literally consider Jimmy Dore the purest leftist, the purest progressive. Sargon's not the only one, Sometimes I think Jimmy goes out of his way to court conservative viewers. I mean, you attack the Democrats enough and Joe Biden enough, you attract the audience that where their only ideology is, I just hate liberals, I just hate Democrats, that's it. So here's him retweeting QAnoner Low and Boebert. So Boebert shares a screenshot of Joe Biden tweeting out, "A wall will not stop the coronavirus. Banning all travel from Europe or any part of the world will not stop it." And Boebert says, "As Biden bans flights from India, perhaps he should be reminded of a tweet he put out last year. Also, I thought travel bans were xenophobic." And Jimmy Dore witlessly retweeting her saying, "Nothing will fundamentally change Joe Biden." See, this is where nuance becomes very, very important, so pay attention. This was tweeted out around the time where India was having absolutely insane COVID numbers. It was all over the news. They were having the outbreak of outbreaks. It was peaking for them, like hardcore. It's still not really good there. Do I think that Trump putting travel bans on specific countries was xenophobic? No. Why? Because certain countries, COVID was spreading more rapidly, kind of like how India was back in the end of April, early May, when that was tweeted, when Jimmy retweeted that. What was xenophobic was Trump's rhetoric towards China, the Kung flu, the China virus. That was the xenophobic shit. And so according to Boebert, Biden doing that to keep travel restricted from India, somehow that was xenophobic when it's actually the right, smart thing to do, because COVID is still mutating. It's still spreading. Of course, Jimmy Dore, he doesn't care. He doesn't give a shit. His ideology stems from, I hate Biden, I hate liberals, I hate Democrats. That's it. Doesn't understand the nuances of the situation or why Biden enacted another travel ban. I'm going to give myself an aneurysm before this video's over. Hell, I even made a video about this, about how bad it was in India, and if we don't curb COVID, I might have to make a follow-up, but it's called These COVID Facts Should Concern Literally Everybody. I would suggest checking that out. Also, here's Jimmy lending credence to the validity of the Boogaloo Boys in a tweet. I interviewed a member of the Boogaloo Boys, the Boogaloo Boys. I was completely floored when he said he is pro-LGBTQ, pro-Black Lives Matter, anti-police brutality, anti-racism, anti-ICE, anti-war. WTF? Of course, so many people went after him because of this. One of his guests, or I'm pretty sure it was either one of his guests or he went on another show, first thing they did was call him out on it, and I don't think Jimmy ever aired it or made a segment about it, but there are clips about it because I think he leaked it. His guest or the guy whoever had him on, whatever, leaked it, and I called him out on it, and he's embarrassed about it, obviously. But are you noticing a trend? You noticing a trend? capitulations, and Jimmy Dore made such thing about it. It's like, I don't get it. What we agree on a whole lot of things. That's the problem. He seems to think that the left can align with these factions, but if you know anything about history, it doesn't always really play out in the end. And this is a constant theme when it comes to him too. I can't get too far into this without mentioning Jimmy Dore's 2016 debate with Sam Seder. If you haven't seen it, you're doing yourself a disservice. You should go watch it first. I'll link it down below. But if you have seen it, and Jimmy would probably rather you not have seen it, you would understand right away that following the 4 years of the Trump administration, that Jimmy was dead wrong in his predictions. Jimmy was wrong about the Republicans stopping Trump's agenda. He did everything they wanted and more. Jimmy was wrong about the Supreme Court. He thought the scenario of 3 seats getting filled in, which is exactly what happened, was like the moon falling into Lake Michigan. Jimmy was wrong about the Democrats filibustering. Bitch McConnell changed the rules of the filibuster so him and Trump can fast-track judges. Now the Supreme Court is a 6-3 conservative majority, and it's probably going to be that way for a very long time. Way to go, Jimmy. It's so telling when Jimmy is willing to go out of his way to attack pretty much everybody except Sam Seder. Why is everyone so scared of a MSNBC liberal like Sam Seder?
Yeah. Here's the thing. Jimmy has been running like a little coward for me for over 5 years. He deploys his wife occasionally to respond to me on Twitter. But he has been running like a coward. And people can go back. We will put a link in this YouTube description of the original debate that we had back when I just thought, well, Jimmy's sort of a dim bulb, but whatever. He's on our side. And people can look at that and know that he's been running like a little sniveling coward. And he knows he's afraid of me. And he knows he's listening to my voice right now. Not exactly in this moment. After it goes out. I know he's listening to this.
Yeah.
You know it. Jimmy, you're a coward. You know it. I know it. Everybody else knows it. You want to be a tough guy, come be a tough guy. Come on the show. I'll invite you into the studio.
It's weird how he'll respond to me. He'll respond to Anna. He'll respond to Jamie when Jamie was working here. He won't respond to Matt. He won't respond to you. What is the through line that we're seeing here, huh?
He won't even dare mention his name. Sometimes he'll have callers on. He will literally edit out the moments where the caller or callers would say Majority Report or Sam Seder. Like, it won't even allow them to be mentioned.
I mean, I usually, if I'm going to watch the news, I either turn on your show, Sam's show, or the Young Turks. That's usually who I go to for news. Your show or the...
Oh my God! He actually did do that!
Here's the full clip now.
I mean, I usually, if I'm going to watch the news, I either turn on your show or the Young Turks. That's usually who I go to for news. I mean, I usually, if I'm going to watch the news, I either turn on your show, Sam's show, or the Young Turks. That's usually who I go to for news. Your show or the Young Turks.
Oh my God.
So ever since the Intercept booted Glenn Greenwald or whatever the hell, for some reason Ryan Grimm's just been a favorite punching bag of Jimmy Dore and Glenn Greenwald, which, I mean, I don't really follow Ryan Grimm, but I really, really respect the work that he's done. So I'm pretty lost on why so much animosity is directed towards him. I guess he's just one of those guys that's just so good at calling out Jimmy on his shit. I don't know. But here's Jimmy melting down about him.
Ryan Grimm has now been outed time and time and time again. The Intercept has been outed time and time and time again as being an enemy of the people, as being an enemy of Medicare for all, as running interference for politicians, and other YouTubers still fucking talk about that guy like he's a good journalist instead of an enemy of the progressive movement. And shame on those motherfuckers. And I'm calling them out. And we should all be calling them out because these are desperate times. And those motherfuckers who are running interference for Bernie Sanders and Ryan Grimm and the Young Turks and all those pukes, those people have health care. Those people are millionaires, lots of them. Yeah. Ryan Grimm gets a six-figure, probably $500,000 a year from a billionaire to run interference to squash progressive movements. That's what Ryan Grimm gives. That's what the Intercept is doing right now. And fuck those other YouTube hosts who prop that guy up.
So throughout that entire tantrum, not once did I pick up on what exactly Jimmy's problem is with Ryan Grimm. Like, what exactly has Ryan Grimm gotten wrong? See, he doesn't seem to clarify anything. And apparently the Intercept is bad now. He's lumping him in with Bernie Sanders and the Young Turks. Again, maybe it's because Ryan just calls him out as bullshit. And then the great Jimmy Dore's like, I declare Ryan Grimm bad. But apparently, Jimmy Dore debated Ryan Grimm. And just like Jimmy's debate with Sam Seder, I don't think he wants you to see it. From Accelerationist for Biden. Apparently he tweeted about this podcast called The Vanguard Kids or something like that, who've been, I don't know anything about them, but I guess they've been pro Jimmy Dore in the past, but now they're starting to like see through him. Because according to this tweet, there actually was a debate with Ryan Grimm and Jimmy just never posted it. It says, damn, Jimmy can't even keep these guys from telling how full of shit he is. Everything said here is correct. Jimmy never posted that debate with Grimm because it goes against his tough guy act. Facing someone with opposing views, he gets easily dismantled. And of course, I retweeted saying, posted the debate, Jimmy. Shows how badly Ryan Grimm got beat, apparently. Of course, we know he's never going to do it. So, again, check out that Sam Seder debate if you haven't yet. Did everyone remember the Seth Rich conspiracy? It was definitely some sketchy shit. What did Jimmy think?
And that's what Dave Weigel does on the regular. And he does it when he's coming after me. Why? Because I exposed that he's who he is. And he can't stand it. The first time I exposed who he was when he wrote this article. The Seth Rich conspiracy shows how fake news still works. Well, he's supposed to disclose that the CIA is in a conflict of he's given $600 million to the owner of the paper. The CIA, which is involved in the Seth Rich conspiracy theory, none of that did they disclose. None of it. Jeff Bezos is doing huge business with the CIA while keeping his Washington Post readers in the dark because they're not allowed to disclose that, which is journalism malpractice.
So I'm not sure if you caught it there, but Jimmy believes that someone made an illegitimate debunking of the Seth Rich conspiracy simply because he criticized Jimmy. So therefore, the Seth Rich conspiracy is true because Jeff Bezos and the CIA worked together or something. And he's embracing the conspiracy to own his critics, to pwn his anyone who criticizes him. Keep in mind that anyone who pushes back against Jimmy, even the slightest, is a McCarthyite smear artist and a pro-war imperialist peddling CIA NATO talking points. You can also expect his fans to call you a shitlib guaranteed every time. Now, there's got to be some left progressive aspects of Jimmy, right? Now, what does Jimmy think about LGBT discrimination? Well, let's allow the concept of free speech absolutism take the reins. What did he think about the Carlos Maza, Steven Crowder situation?
Okay, here it is. YouTube wants to have its cake with harassment policy that signals it's kindly, sweet, and pro-gay, and eat it too with the levels of traffic generated by inflammatory content. Those two goals are irreconcilable. So he's saying that YouTube wants to have its cake and eat it too. It wants to say it's friendly because it has harassment policies that signals it's kind and sweet and pro-gay. But in practice, it lets people harass people. That's called journalism. Journalism is printing something someone else doesn't want printed. The rest is fucking public relations. That they're just complaining and so that's what. So he saying YouTube, you can't have people who. What about fucking? What did every mainstream news media just do for 2.5 years? They pushed an evidence-free conspiracy theory, red baiting the president. Somehow you're better than YouTube? You guys are you are the moral superior of no one. Mainstream news journalists, especially a motherfucker from Vox.
Hey, the Nixon administration accused Ben Bradley in the Washington Post of partisan anti-American sentiment for publishing the Pentagon Papers.
That has literally nothing to do with what Jimmy was talking about.
Yes, yep.
That's what you do. You don't like what somebody's saying, you attack all these other things so that they're not talking about the very thing they're calling you out on.
Here's another one. This has been going on for years, and I've tried to flag this shit on several occasions, but YouTube is never going to actually enforce its policies because Crowder has 3 million YouTube subscribers, and enforcing their rules would get them accused of anti-conservative bias. Which is all to say, I work my fucking ass off to create smart, thorough, engaging content for YouTube, a company that claims to give a shit about LGBT creators. And it's miserable to have that same company helping facilitate a truly mind-melting amount of direct harassment. Really? Is this what you're complaining? It's not funny. My family sees this shit. Oh, really? Really?
What about the families of the
Really?
85,000 kids that have been killed in Yemen? What about those families?
Again, completely unrelated. We're going to go over this. Don't worry. We're going to go we're going to go over. Why did I do this?
Really? My family sees this shit. I had to explain to my much younger sister what the fuck a Steven Crowder is and ask my siblings not to respond. I had to explain to my nephew what a fucking news dupe is who pushes war for a fucking military-industrial complex 24/7. I had to explain to them that Wolf Blitzer, Jake Tapper, Rachel Maddow, and Chris Hayes are warmongers and they're tools of the establishment, and that's why they'll never tell you the truth, which is why we have Trump as president. I had to explain that to my nephew. My family sees this shit. This guy, what a snowflake this fucking guy is.
Okay, that's enough of that. So Jimmy can't address the actual situation at hand. He has to pivot away to, well, what about this? What about that? What about the U.S. mainstream media pushing the Russiagate nonsense? He always has to fall back on these positions because, according to Jimmy, who fumbled a whole bunch there because he couldn't defend his own logic, he thinks that targeted harassment and bullying of a journalist because of their sexual identity is just journalism. And what about Russiagate? Jimmy even goes on later in the video to admit that he never even watched a Steven Crowder video, and you can even hear him getting Steven confused with Trey Crowder a few times.
Hey, the internet. It's me, Trey, back on the porch. I know it's been a minute, but damn, I just been busier than Donald Trump at a fuck shit up conference, so I apologize.
All Carlos Maza wanted YouTube to do was enforce its policies on targeted harassment, which is clear. It's and obvious what Steven Crowder was doing to him and his family. He was doxxed for crying out loud. But he addresses this, I believe, the next day, and he confirms that he deleted the Crowder segment. Keep in mind, I couldn't find a tweet for this, so we're going to use the Progressive Voices clip of this that he made.
As you guys know, he actually deleted that clip that I did a video on. And let's hear his explanation for this, why don't we?
Heard of Steven Crowder? I think he crashed an event that Cenk was doing somewhere one time. And that's kind of how I knew his name, but I've never seen a video of him. And in fact, when I talked about it last Saturday on the live stream, when I first found out about this during the live stream, I kept referring to him as Trey Crowder, that's a whole different guy. So that's how little of familiarity I had with him. And by the way, some people, people are thinking it was, Jimmy Dore cut that out of his premium. Why did he cut that out? He cut that out because I was going to do a whole segment on it in front of a live crowd.
So why did you cut it out? Why wouldn't it just be additional footage for people who are behind the paywall? That doesn't explain anything. What the hell?
That's why. And I kept referring to him as Trey Crowder through the whole goddamn thing anyway.
So that's the reason.
And I was mixing, the whole thing got mixed, and I felt like I kind of got sandbagged on my own show by it because I didn't, Stef found out about it through the comments and it just came up. So I wanted to cover it. I didn't want to have the video of me doing it out there that it just happened on the fly. I was like, I want to make a real segment out of this. And that's why we cut it out the show, along with me calling him Trey Crowder the whole time. But anyway, I still have the exact same feelings about everything I said in that. I'm not changing any of my feelings. I'm not, or my opinion.
Says a lot right there, doesn't it? He still feels the same way. He still has the same opinion. But he's decided to cut that part out. Maybe he was just too embarrassed about how uncharitable he was to Carlos Maza. But I don't think he wants to admit that. But that's just me, I'm just guessing. After all, he says, it's just because he got Trey Crowder mixed up with Steven Crowder. He cares so much about the free speech issue, right? So yeah, we get that Jimmy Dore gets things wrong. But what about his most virally infamous moments? Jimmy Dore fans probably think that the way you get legislation passed for the progressive policies that you want is by yelling loudly and angrily at other leftists, which is what Jimmy likes to do a lot. One segment among many that Jimmy Dore did that really rubbed me the wrong way was his video clip entitled Breaking. AOC's gaslighting gets called out on Twitter. While preparing this video to take out a clip, I was skipping through the video maybe 15 seconds at a time, and there's not a single point in the video where Jimmy Dore was not screaming his head off, throwing a tantrum, and slinging vulgarities left and right. I personally don't give a fuck, but after my partner pointed out, like she was sitting over here while I was doing the thing, she just pointed out how unreasonably angry he was. I can't help but point it out here. As in, it's scary how unbelievably mad he is. And for no clear reason. Like, there's no reason to be mad, this mad at something out of your control. He does nothing but hurl insults throughout this whole video. And this isn't abnormal for him. And a lot of people like Jimmy because of it. However, if I was in the room, I'd feel extremely uncomfortable with how unhinged Jimmy acted. So this is just one clip out of the whole 23-minute long video. Here we go.
And this is to keep you from healthcare. That's what this is. This is to keep you from healthcare because she's a gutless wonder who will not do what she promised. And you don't get her to do what you want her to do by being fucking nice to her. You get her to do what she's supposed to do by ripping her to shreds, which is what I'm doing right fucking now because she has it coming. And it's not just her. They all do. She's the only one engaging on Twitter, which is why she's getting it. I originally went after Mark Pocan. Mark Pocan's too big of a coward to engage. She's dumb enough to engage when she doesn't have a good reason. But I bet the squad decided that she would go out there because she's the most popular, and then people could say, you're attacking her. People who work for NATO can say I'm attacking her. Instead of what we're supposed to do, hold one of the most powerful people in the world to account. What it takes is courage from gutless wonders like you, AOC, you fucking phony, and you're revealing yourself, and I am just writing it down. We are you're doing it, and we're marking it. This is her outing herself as a gaslighting motherfucker. She might as well be she might as well be Newt Gingrich because that's what this is. She might as well be Joe Crowley because this is the kind of shit Joe Crowley would say, and now she's saying it. She's finding every reason in the world not to do what she said she was going to do. I figured this out in 2 weeks, AOC. You liar, you coward, you gaslighter, you standing in the way of people in healthcare. You run on healthcare and then you deny it to us. You dangle it in front of your fucking constituents. And then when you get there, you don't lift a fucking finger. And I'm the problem? Fuck you.
There's a whole bunch more in that clip that I could show to you. But you can see just clearly how obsessively angry he is at one person out of... How many people are in Washington again? How many representatives? How many senators? It's AOC's fault. The whole video is like that. The entire 23 minutes. I think a lot of this anger has to do with the fact that Jimmy really doesn't understand politics whatsoever.
Fascism is a very real danger. There was nothing that occurred like January 6th in the history of the United States.
Oh, so except Jerry, fascism is from the left and the right in America.
Fascism is from the left and the right in America. Fascism is from the left and the right in America.
We'll get to more of Jimmy's tantrums in a second, but I have to point out just how differently Jimmy acted when Tulsi Gabbard revealed that she was backing away from Medicare for All.
Well, you came out with your new single payer plus, but people are saying, oh, Tulsi flip-flopped on Medicare for All. Now, you seem to be not wanting to outlaw private insurance, more like, say, what works in Australia.
That's
so
right.
Now I'm very familiar. I've been to Australia. I know how their system works. So that, to me, is 1,000% improvement. That certainly is still Medicare for all, but you still are a firm supporter of Medicare for all. You just have a little bit, and it's not.
The term Medicare for all has become something so ambiguous and meaning something different to so many other people.
So there's two things about her healthcare plan. One, the beauty of it is that it takes away the right-wing talking point. Most people are for single payer, but they can talk them out of it or scare people with how they couch it. And so Tulsi's approach takes that talking point away. It takes the talking point away of, hey, they're going to take away your health care. They're going to take away your health care. They're going to make it illegal for you to get private health insurance, and then the government's going to run in. And so that takes away all that because they're not outlawing private health insurance. There's a problem with that. My preference is for a Bernie's plan, but the overall important thing is that everybody pays into the single-payer Medicare. It's certainly 1,000 times better than Obamacare. It's not quite Bernie's plan, but the beauty of it is it takes away that right-wing talking point of scaring people about they're going to take away your health care. They're going to take away your private health insurance. They're going to make it illegal for you to get. So that takes away that. It's like 6 of one, half a dozen, right? So the part about Bernie's plan is that it can be hacked at with that right-wing talking point, and we've seen it successfully done. That they can lower people's approval of single-payer by scaring them that way. Are there problems with it? Sure. Is it as good as Bernie's? No. But again, it's like you're making a trade-off.
Wow, Jimmy, for a brief moment there, grew a brain. For a brief moment, he actually sounded reasonable. That's incredible. But still, you can't really ignore the scorching irony just underneath all that, can you? When his position every other time is that you're a fucking sellout. You're a gutless wonder. Whoa. Jimmy. Speaking of being somewhat reasonable, an old TYT clip was recently uncovered, and I bet if anybody else said this today, Jimmy would go after them. Take a look.
Funny. Now, my question is, you wouldn't forgive me for going to work for the KKK, but why do we forgive people for going to work for Fox News? Because that is the most that is like not okay. That is so over the top, and that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no disqualification from polite society anymore. Steve Doocy and the other person with him, well, no one's going to go, hey, that racist shit I saw, because they do it every day, and now they're just accepted in mainstream culture, and people work at Fox News and then go work at normal places, and I think that we have to stop that. That's not okay that you can start your career at Fox News or go there in the middle or end up at the end and then go to CBS or go somewhere else. That's not okay. And I think we should shame people who need to make money from racist organizations like Fox News.
Oh boy! And once again, I completely agree with Jimmy. What is it exactly that made him change his tune? This is why I think Jimmy is a grifter. He doesn't actually say what he believes. He just pretends to hold a position if it benefits him, if it garners him more subscribers, more viewers, more revenue. Otherwise, how would he afford his $1.9 million home in Pasadena? But hey, it worked for Dave Rubin, didn't it? Yet Jimmy dares to call out other progressives for being fake and being sellouts.
You fucking phony.
Speaking more about healthcare, recently Jimmy Dore made a pretty funny comment about Medicare for all. Let's take a listen.
Jen Psaki, Biden unmoved on marijuana legalization despite Schumer's legislation. The horrifying moment when even Chuck Schumer is too progressive for Joe Biden. Where's Bernie on this? Silent, taking orders from the corporatist warmonger like he's fucking always has. Where's your movement, Bernie? Where's this movement? Where is it? Asked about the majority's leader's proposal. I've done more without a movement than he has with it. Where was your push for Medicare for all, Bernie? I did one in December. Where was yours? You never did one.
So this is hilarious for a variety of reasons. I mean, first off, the incredibly baseless claim that Bernie's taking orders from the corporatist warmongers or whatever. Did you not? Did you totally forget the bill that he did with Republican Mike Lee to end the U.S.-funded Yemeni genocide, which passed and then Trump vetoed? Remember that? Also, who in the Senate has been harder on corporations than Bernie? Every single day, I get notifications from his YouTube videos. It's every single day that he's putting out some video that's anti-corporation, pro-worker, anti-pharmaceutical companies, anti-insurance companies, pro-human decency, people who can't afford their medicine. It's a daily thing. What the fuck are you talking about, Jimmy? And this is the cherry on top of the big pile of shit that he put in front of us. He claims to have done more for Medicare for All than Bernie has. Just let that soak in. This guy, the guy who created the very concept of Medicare for All, expanding Medicare towards everybody. You, Jimmy Dore, a jagoff comedian in his garage, a YouTuber. You've done more than a longtime senator, a longtime Democratic socialist. Okay, all right, Jimmy. Okay. Well, is this about the fact that he didn't come on your show? Are you still salty about that? You got to get over it, Jimmy. He's just not that into you.
You liar, you coward, you gaslighter, you standing in the way of people in healthcare.
So Jimmy melting down over AOC is not the only time he went unhinged by screaming at other people who should be his ally or would be his ally, whether they are a progressive on YouTube, a journalist, or in Congress. Here's him screaming at Matt Stoller on Katie Hopper's show for some reason.
You're supposed to extract something for your vote. Whatever it is, you're supposed to extract. Guess who did that last time? The Blue Dogs. Guess who won't do it this time? The progressives.
So this is I tweeted positively about your campaign because I like that you're saying they need to ask for things. And one of the things AOC responded to me and said, actually, we have asked for things, and I'm not being public with what we're asking for, but
it's a secret. It's a secret what they're asking for. It's a secret.
But it's not. I mean, I know some of the. I mean, AOC is not the lead negotiator. That would be Pramila Jayapal, and like they are asking for things. But I think, and they're getting things. They're getting some representation on committees. It's insider.
Fuck off. Fuck you. Fuck off. Go fuck yourself with your fucking committee, fuckface. You fucking egghead nerd. I don't give a fuck about your committee shit. Nobody voted for her for a fucking committee. Why don't you stop saying that stupid shit?
That's directed at Matt, not at Jayapal.
Fucking Matt.
I have a point here.
Yeah, you fucking bet you do. It's called a Poindexter. That's a fucking stupid thing to say.
Okay. The point.
This is a space of healing. And
I had a point. And then I forgot it.
I feel that I can say this because I love Matt and he's valuable and he knows that.
See, the really, really sad thing is that Jimmy doesn't understand that what Matt was saying was 100,000% reasonable. Nerd shit. Of course, Jimmy would project his own securities about that because he doesn't care about like committee hearings, or like questioning Zuckerberg or billionaires or these big pharma CEOs or big oil lobbyists or anything like that. No, none of that's important. You know, these committees don't actually mean anything. Fuck me. So here's him melting down on the Force the Vote virtual town hall.
They're not accountable to anyone. I get 10 to 12 million views a month, and they won't come out and address my progressive audience. They won't come out and address Bree's audience or Katie's audience or Justin Jackson or you. They are not accountable to us. They're accountable to whoever the fuck themselves. Let's not kid ourselves. As Chris Hedges taught us a long time ago, the people attracted to politics are the most mediocre of people. They're not your friends. They are elected servants, and start fucking treating them that way.
I hear Brownie is seconding you in the background.
They're not your fucking friends. They're the people standing in between us and fucking healthcare. They're putting their fucking personal position ahead of that. Don't fucking forget that.
Who are you talking about with that, Jimmy?
I'm talking about anybody who's a progressive in Congress who isn't endorsing #TheVote. All those motherfuckers who didn't show up today at our town hall. Every fucking one of them is selling you out and canceling you for their own personal gain.
So if any of these clips so far make you uncomfortable, yeah, I don't blame you. Like, how are you not? Like, you can see Katie Halper there just try to lighten the mood a little bit, ease it up, and then Jimmy explodes. He goes double the anger, double the unhinged, double the tantrum. Like, there's no substance to what he's saying, like, at all. And you can even see some of the other panelists start to get uncomfortable. Let's continue. Let's watch some more of that.
I do think that it's important to draw distinctions between people like AOC and Nancy Pelosi. I mean, I think they're totally different.
Why is it important? Why is that important?
Because Nancy Pelosi is fundamentally opposed to your goal and AOC
But if she votes with Nancy Pelosi, what's the fucking difference, Ben?
So, I mean, what I would say is that I think the strategy that she may have for getting Medicare for all to become a reality may differ from the strategy some
What
of
is
us.
her strategy, Ben? Has she shared that with you privately? Because she hasn't shared her fucking strategy publicly. So if you have some information, could you share it with us? If you don't have any information, please stop telling people that they have a fucking strategy when you know damn well they don't.
Well, so, I mean, what I would say is right now, I'm not sure what their strategy is at this
They don't
specific
have one,
moment,
Ben.
but
Stop saying you're not sure. You have no fucking idea. They have no strategy, and you know it. Stop fucking saying you don't know. What is their strategy? If you know what their strategy is, tell me. If you don't say you don't know. Say they don't fucking have one, because they don't fucking have one.
Well, but
that is bullshit, claptrap, mealy mouth, fuckface shit. Stop doing that, Ben.
Well,
hold on.
People are dying, Ben. Quit giving politicians the benefit of the fucking doubt.
But that's not what I'm doing. I mean, what I'm saying is I think we have like fairly strong evidence that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is a strong Medicare for all supporter, right?
What is
and
that
she doesn't oppose a floor vote, right? Like, so I think that's
she's
one
not
thing
using her power to get one. Is she using her power to get one, or is she making bullshit excuses and you're accepting them?
No, and again, I mean, I think it's really important to push politicians. Like, and
I love how Justin Jackson is just like, I'm out of here.
Believe this about Bernie Sanders. I believe this about Ocasio-Cortez. I believe it about Ro Khanna. Like, I believe it about anybody in Congress who I think is not right all the time, but usually on our side on most of these issues. I think it's vital to push them.
Well,
but I think it's...
How do we define... I think that Jimmy raises an interesting and good point, because I think like a lot of us, you know, I have...
So I only have two things going through my mind during this tantrum. One, poor Ben Spielberg. Two, what's your strategy, Jimmy? They put up Medicare for all for a vote, it fails, then what? Then what? Because the thing is, if anyone ever steps out of line or questions you or criticizes you or pushes you in any way, you unload on them. Like we're seeing here. Let's I'm sorry that you have to endure this, but we need to continue this.
So, like, I don't disagree that her responses on the thread weren't great, although I see them in a little bit of a different way, because I do think it's good that she was responding to Justin. Like, not everybody does that. I think it was good that she engaged. And then I also thought on the interview on Intercepted, her answer made a little bit more sense than what she had responded
Which
to
answer,
Justin.
Ben?
I don't...
Kidding me.
But wait a minute, Jimmy.
Ben, I don't know who the fuck you are, but this is
Jimmy,
freaking
hold on.
ridiculous.
Can you not?
Jimmy,
I don't know what this is. So you're saying her answers weren't great on that Twitter thread? That what is in it to you to give people who are politicians who are obviously bullshitting and gaslighting us? What is in it for you to give them every benefit of the doubt? Do you think that helps?
No. So, and again,
then why do you do it?
So I guess what I'm saying, Jimmy, is I think the idea that AOC is in the same category as Nancy Pelosi.
No, what you said was her answers weren't great, Ben. Instead of her answers were obvious bullshit and gaslighting and revealed they weren't actually strategizing. You do the exact opposite.
So
stop fucking doing that.
Let Ben respond and make his point. I think he's being
He
very...
made his point. His point is he gives them every benefit of the fucking doubt, and he's not ready to fight for fucking anything. Ever.
Ever.
Yeah. Well, and so I guess what I'm saying
Her
is,
answers weren't great. Are you fucking shitting
Bree
me?
and I have been saying.
Fuck off.
Hold on. No.
So
But
Jimmy, I
have to say
really.
one thing is that
Isn't it weird that like you give just the slightest credit to AOC or like just any benefit of the doubt, as Ben put it, for the Democrats in Congress, it's enough to set Jimmy off. Like Jimmy's behaving like an abuser right here. If you notice in some of these clips, Jimmy's drinking. I don't think it's a secret that I don't want to assume anything, but I don't think it's unknown like how often like Jimmy is seen drinking, like whether it's like behind the scenes at his shows or even in these clips, like he's seen with a drink in his hand.
Say hi to everybody, Jimmy.
That's right. You know, the beauty of alcoholism is it skips a generation. That's the beauty. I like your music a lot. So can't touch me. That's what I'm saying. This can't touch me.
The liquid courage before we go on stage. It works.
Like, I don't know. I'm just wondering how much of a factor is that? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sort of an alcoholic. I'm self-aware enough to own up to that, and I would make sure, like, if I was ever pulling anything like this, what Jimmy, like what Jimmy's doing here, I would take a big step back and just like, what am I doing? What am I doing with my life? What am I saying? How am I affecting these people? How am I affecting everybody? What kind of role do I want to have? Am I making a positive difference?
there are. Then I'll let you speak.
Weren't great.
Her answers
weren't great, Katie. And her answers weren't great.
There are
they were obvious bullshit.
There are different lanes, as I've said before, and I do think that that's important to remember. And if you want, like, honestly, if you want to make your case, it's actually, I think, more effective to engage.
Well, I know what you guys think is more effective, and I see how far you guys moved the ball with your fucking claptrap. Zero. Giving fucking politicians the benefit of the doubt at every fucking turn and using mealy-mouthed terms and
But Jimmy, nobody's
issues. Fuck
Jimmy,
off.
Jimmy, nobody.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know how much like him drinking right there has to do with his angry outbursts. I don't know if he drinks while he's on the show, but I don't know. It might have something to do with it. But the outbursts here are too often and too just unreasonable, uncharitable, and just vile and vulgar, like against people like are these seriously the people you want to direct this amount, this level, this kind of anger towards? Fuck, you know? I'm surprised Ben didn't just up and leave. Like, I wouldn't have been able to fucking tolerate that shit. I almost feel like it's irresponsible to give Jimmy this amount of attention when he clearly doesn't deserve it. But then again, we need to keep in mind that his channel keeps on growing at a disturbingly fast pace. So by now, you should be able to tell just how petty, childish, and prone to tantrums Jimmy is. If you're on Twitter or even look through his liked videos on YouTube, he has a tendency to feed into his sycophants, his fan base, which you might as well call the Jimmy Dore Defense League. Like Brianna Joy Gray, who went to Jimmy's defense throughout all that abuse and vitriol. Jimmy will like tweets that attack other progressives for not being as friendly to what Jimmy Dore puts out as content or being in line with what he considers his ideals, his positions, or what have you. If you criticize him in any way, you can always count on his fans to come out of the woodwork to call you a shitlib who is peddling pro-war, pro-imperialist CIA talking points. Every time. I promise you. Every single time. Here's an example right here. Humanist Report tweets out, "My good friend Jimmy Dore is liking tweets calling me the boutique left and that I'm jealous of him. And that's not including the outright smears of me he boosted yesterday. Dude, you're old enough to be my dad. Grow the fuck up." Excellently put. If you're not in line with Jimmy, this is how you're treated. This is how petty he is. The Humanist Report calls himself a democratic socialist. Of course, there's room to go more left than that, but even Jimmy himself doesn't consider himself a socialist. He doesn't even really talk about socialism. And so, of course, the Jimmy Dore Defense League came out in full force to respond to Humanist Report. This is a quote tweet that Mike received. And this is before Mike even tweeted that. Mike says, the same people who spent last week attacking the squad members of indie media seem to be in agreement that a powerful fascist getting banned from Twitter is bad. If you attack leftists more than fascists and defend fascists more than leftists, what do we call that? An excellent point. And then this clown with brainworms comes out of the woodworks from the Jimmy Dore Defense League to quote tweet him saying, by the way, if your positions on hashtag force the vote and war mirror the establishment, i.e. no criticism of Russiagate, no opposition to warmongering of any kind, no support for Julian Assange, no support for force the vote, then you are establishment media masquerading as indie media. I honestly can't imagine even beginning to consider Mike Figueredo establishment media. But this right here is exactly how Jimmy rots brains. But speaking of pettiness and hiding behind liking tweets critical of other lefties, this is where Kyle Kulinski comes in. If you haven't already, watch his initial response to the drama and then his follow-up addressing the lies told about him by Aaron Monte and Jimmy Dore. Those are crucial in understanding what I'm about to show you, and there is a lot to unpack here. So we're going to start with Jimmy Dore admitting to sexually harassing Ana Kasparian and claiming that what she is doing is blackmail. So I'm going to let these clips play entirely just so you can soak in how disturbing what Jimmy is admitting it is.
But here's how she's trying to threaten me. And I'll tell you why this is a big mistake on her part. She says, I'm sure you remember when you constantly made inappropriate comments about how sexy you found me at work and even felt the need to ask me where I shop for my jeans so you can buy a pair for your wife so she dresses better.
Thank you.
That was followed by an apology card you wrote me for the degrading harassment. I've been holding back, letting you run your mouth nonstop as if you're some sort of warrior for what's good in the world. That's going to change. So now she's, instead of saying I'm paid by the Russians or saying I'm working for Assad, she's now going to try to pretend I sexually harassed her when I was at the Young Turks. So I remember I did ask her about, I want to buy a pair of jeans like that for my wife. Apparently that's offensive to her. I don't know if you ever watched The Young Turks, but all they talk about in the second hour when I used to be there was the most outrageous sex stories in the world.
So in order to downplay and just soften what Jimmy is about to admit, and they did this whole bunch following this, a whole bunch of damage control, as in like, oh, there's a whole bunch of degenerate, delinquent behavior over the Young Turks. So what Jimmy admitted to is just totally fucking fine. And we'll get to the second part of the clip in a second, but you need to understand something. Look at this direct message. Look at it right here. What Ana Kasparian did to Jimmy was not blackmail. She did not leverage something over Jimmy in exchange for anything out of him. Don't think so? Look at this message to Jimmy and tell me what she's specifically saying or demanding Jimmy to stop doing. And even if she did specify something, this still isn't blackmail when what Jimmy did amounts to a sex crime and she is well within her right to share that with the public. Ironically, Jimmy probably thought he was going to be in a heap of trouble, so due to fear, he jumped out ahead of it and revealed what he did to her on his show.
And I'll tell you this story. The story about that was followed by an apology card you wrote me for degrading harassment. Ana Kasparian used to dress, when I worked there, unbelievably inappropriately for a newsroom. She looked like she was going to a rave. The skirt, one time she came into the newsroom with a skirt so short. It wasn't a pencil skirt. It was like a fluffy one too, but so short that she bent over in front of me and I literally saw her ass and her thong. She's wearing a thong. I literally saw it. Everybody saw it. And I go, hey, Anna, nice news skirt. And everybody laughed. Like they laughed louder than I thought they would. And so it humiliated her. She got humiliated in the middle of the newsroom. And I did it. And I felt bad. At that time, we were friendly. And I was just busting her balls, right, for dressing like that in a newsroom. You're going to bend over and show me your ass? I think that's a little... I'm not offended, but I think that's a little risque. Imagine if I did that, if I walked around showing my ass to everybody. So when I did that too, she got really mad. She got humiliated. Her face turned red. She tried to insult me back, and it just fell flat. And she looked, bad. And I felt bad for her. I didn't want to make her feel that, but I just wanted to make a little joke. And all I said was, "Hey, Anna, nice news skirt," and everybody in the newsroom, because everybody saw how inappropriate she used to dress. And everybody saw it. And so that's why it got such a huge laugh, and she was so humiliated. So I felt bad for her. So the next day I wrote her a card saying, "Hey, I'm sorry. I won't do that again. That was inappropriate. You don't have to worry about that happening again. I won't comment on your clothes anymore." I should have said, no matter how fucking ridiculous.
You mean you'll stop commenting on her thong?
On her thong that I could see. Max, where would you like to take the conversation?
So the clip ends right there, so you can't really see Max's response. And for what a piece of shit Max is, he actually has a very reasonable response. Like, we don't have a dress code at the Gray Zone. I don't give a shit about what Anna wears. Which, and his face right there, just, are you really just dragging me into this? This is like, gotta kind of feel sympathy for the guy. So it was Jimmy, and it was all his sycophants. It was the Jimmy Dore Defense League, who came out in full force to, well, what about everybody to death? About TYT. Just for days on end after Jimmy went out and did this, everybody was, well, look what TYT did here. Well, look at what TYT did there. All their crude content. And even Cenk's own comments towards Anna. Since it's clear that none of you have half a clue what sexual harassment is, the difference between all that and what Jimmy did is that Anna clearly doesn't mind about the comments Cenk make to her, because being longtime partners, they both understand each other's boundaries as well as their own. Jimmy didn't. And that's why him and all his simps' attempts at hypocrisy burns all fail every time.
So the reason why he wrote the apology card was because every time he had made inappropriate comments about me at work, I ignored it. But as I was walking into the studio, because my students were supposed to watch the show, it was their final assignment, watch the show, and there was a written assignment related to the show. And as I was walking in with them, that was when he made the comment, and he didn't make a comment about a news skirt. He made a comment about how sexy my legs were in front of my students. And it was degrading, obviously, and I want my students to respect me and take me seriously. Seeing an older man that I work with talk about my body like that in front of my students was wrong. And so for the first time, I actually snapped at him and told him to never make a comment like that about me again. And so I think he realized, I think I might have gone, I think now she might actually make a big deal about this, and that's why he wrote me that apology card to basically try to calm things down. But I mean, comments continued after that. That's who he was, and he was, he pretends as if he's like a fighter for progressive values. I heard the way that he spoke to producers here. He is anything but the so-called leftist that he tries to present himself to be, and his audience reflects that. His audience reflects that in the way that they responded to that video. Because anyone on the left, anyone who wants to fight for decency, to ensure that everyone lives a life of decency, wouldn't watch that video and think, oh no, that's my guy. That's who I want to side with. That's who I want to fight with. Because everything that Jimmy does on a daily basis, his entire intention is to be indecent and to be incredibly cruel to others, regardless of how much he agrees with them, regardless of how little disagreement he has politically speaking with these individuals. It's literally his bread and butter. This is how he makes his money.
This is what Jimmy Dore has been reduced to, because he can't defend his association with Aaron Mate and Max Blumenthal, the Gray Zone, who have ties to RT. That he has to slut shame to own the libs. He's going back on what he says about them taking the $20 million from that one guy, because he even said in the interview, you could see it, I think, in Kyle Kulinski's second response when he's responding to the lies told by Aaron and Jimmy, that Jimmy said that he didn't feel like the money changed anything, like he really respects Cenk, and like he didn't think that changed the direction of the show or anything like that. So Jimmy even worked at TYT at the time and continued to, despite the Katzenberg money. I mean, obviously he was getting paid at that point, wasn't he? Did he not care? Was it not a big issue then? So why is it a big issue now? Because TYT triggered him so bad? Also, who can point out which positions are held by Katzenberg that are now being peddled by TYT? Has TYT really changed their news coverage to be something other than the sock dem social democrat progressive angle that they've been doing for years and years? The same angle that they've pretty much always taken? It's just funny, that this is what Jimmy had to resort to. This is how low he'll sink. So the Jimmy Dore Defense League, which includes Aaron Mate, was out in full force, and he tweets, he confirms that he made a mean joke that he apologized for. You're going to declare this sexual harassment? What's incredible is that this issue only gets raised now and never before, just as Ana and TYT are under fire for a slanderous and humiliating McCarthyite meltdown. See, this is called victim blaming. It's classic. Oh, why didn't you come out about this sooner? Oh, this happened to you? You were a victim? Oh, well, because you're coming out about it now, we can dismiss it. It didn't actually matter back then, huh? So I'm not going to get deep into Max Blumenthal, the Gray Zone, or Aaron Mate, but here's a video I clipped on my channel that provides some of the context as to why there are a lot of people that consider Aaron to be an asset to Russia or blah, blah, blah. Just keep in mind the Gray Zone is directly associated with RT, which is Russian state-funded. I sincerely doubt that Gray Zone's funding comes just from Patreon. Don't let them weasel around that.
This is the one tip, and this is something, and I know you like making people angry. Really, you like making the worst people angry. If there's anything that pisses people off more, is actually reading these leaks, reading the context, doing the actual research behind this one day, and then being like, oh shit, yeah, this is all bullshit. And then when later you can say that, people will just get fucking outraged. Every time I say this, I'll have like a bunch of people in chat, fucking people who've never read the report, that'll just say, well, WikiLeaks said this or this said that. If you just read the actual things people talk about, just immediately, they're fucking on the back foot because they never read these reports. They just skim the shit and then throw it out there. It happens every time. And
yeah, I'm actually seeing that right now. Somebody linked a tweet in chat right now, and it's from somebody who got blocked by Aaron Mate. Somebody said, the OPCW leak draft said claims of staging are, quote, based on little or no evidence. And somebody else, Aaron Mate, says, wow, can you share a screenshot and the page number of this amazing find? Skeptical emoji, clown face emoji. And then the guy responds, page 28, quote, one criterion used in forensic epidemiology to assess causation considers the possibility of an alternate explanation. The team considered alternate injury events, but stressed they are founded on few or no substantiated facts. And then Mate blocked him. What a piece of shit, dude. We might go after the Gray Zone next. These fucking state actors, dude. The literal foreign State Department rolled motherfuckers. Jesus Christ.
Okay, can I give you the collection, the anti-imperialist fucking like power glove collection of
drop them on me, but then I got to go back to the Kyle Kulinski video.
Richard Medhurst, Partisan Girl, Aaron Mate, and the last one, of course, is going to be Glenn Greenwald and Max Blumenthal. These are the 5 magical gems that will give you a brain tumor if you ever need to.
Well, I remember, isn't Partisan Girl like literally a Nazi?
She is friends with David Duke and has been on his podcast multiple times, but people continue to have them on.
I sexually harassed her.
So another disgusting aspect about this story right here is that Jimmy felt comfortable admitting what happened at TYT with Ana back in December 2020, but without naming her. Take a listen.
It's an honor to meet a war criminal who's killed 500,000 children. It's an honor. I'm a journalist. One time I was in a news studio, and I won't say who did this, but someone wore Such a short. No. Anyway.
You gave me a dirty look last week when I mentioned that. I thought it was funny.
I'm just saying. I've seen newscasters' naked asses in newsrooms. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying whose.
I think that was a nice news skirt.
Yes, a nice news skirt.
Yeah, the only thing worse than a nice news skirt is a nice news thong.
A news thong. It's a news bikini. I'm doing the news in my news thong. Oh, boy.
So a couple things to take note of right there. Stef, his wife, not innocent in all of this. Not at all. Right in line. Just as insufferable. Just as vile. Secondly, if you notice throughout each of these clips, Jimmy's laughing throughout all of them. He thinks it's funny. He thinks humiliating Ana Kasparian, it was just funny. Degrading her, making sexual comments. No one else knew it was a joke, and that's the thing. A lot of people love to excuse shitty behavior and shitty statements by saying, "Oh, it was a joke, lighten up. It was a joke." One of my favorite concepts is Schrodinger's joke. Whether or not you were joking depends on the reaction of others. If it's negative, oh, it's just a joke. If it was positive, yeah. Don't you agree with me? I mean, basically that's how it goes, right? Ah, fuck. So with all that, this isn't the first time that happened. Get this. Francesca Fiorentini somewhat regularly goes on other progressive platforms like the Majority Report, tweeted this back in late 2020. That time, working class hero Jimmy Dore DM harassed me from his vacation, and this is true, in Venice. I had asked him politely to not call a journalist in Syria Al-Qaeda. Folks, there are plenty of left pundits with far better politics. Get you one of those. And let's go through each one of these. What are you afraid of if you have the truth on your side? You don't have truth on your side, so that's why you're going to dodge defending your lies. Nice to finally know who you really are. And Francesca calmly replies, someone who disagrees with you? Don't troll me, dude. We can get a coffee. Don't troll you? Does anything come out of your head besides bullshit? You're a gutless fucking liar. If you had any integrity or dignity, you'd come on my show and try to back up your bullshit public's mirroring of me. But you don't have any integrity or dignity, and you're a fucking liar, and I snapped you out. Look forward to your next bullshit excuse of why you can't back up your tweet and come on my show, you fucking coward. Lol, lol, lol. Here comes the excuse of why you can't come on my show. And Francesca's like, above is the reason I now most certainly won't go on your show. Congrats on all your success, Jimmy. I think you're a decent man. I think you're a fucking liar and a page chill. I think he's using text-to-speech. Page chill. And I'm going to out you. Yeah. And what started all this? What started this specifically? Below, Francesca tweeted, this was my tweet that somehow sent him off, responding to him calling Shane CIA/Al-Qaeda. Of course, this entered me into the forever bad faith discussion on the left about Syria. Thank you and others for naming this. The pathology on the left painting the Middle East with the same brush to stick it to an imaginary democratic and media Illuminati is utterly delusional and disheartening. I say this as someone who wants to see Dore and others do better. That's from frickin' September 2018. Like, what the hell? I guess that's how long ago those DMs were, too. So with the drama regarding TYT specifically aside, Kyle Kulinski did a poor job trying to keep both sides happy because Jimmy ended up super pissed at him anyway, despite taking Jimmy's side and admitting to agreeing with Jimmy and Aaron on the quote 85 to 90% of the issues.
He says we ghosted him. Jimmy, we didn't ghost you. We responded literally as soon as we could. We were recording a show, which is why it took over 2 hours for us to respond to you. But as soon as we saw your text, we responded. We talked for about 5 minutes to try to determine what the best response would be. And we decided, just be completely honest. Be completely honest. Hey, we want to get as far away from the war as possible. We hope you understand. And honestly, we're so naive. We thought there was a chance you'd be like, yeah, I get it. It's gotten ugly. I will tell you what we were thinking. Again, this isn't an excuse. This isn't a rationalization. This is just what was going on in our minds at the time. Honestly, we were afraid of the argument that would come when we told you, hey, we don't want to have you on. We don't want to have Cenk or Ana either, but like, we don't want to have you on. We were very afraid, hey, it's possible when we say this that he might get really angry and view us as like the enemy. And, you know, that's kind of what happened. He took that as a slight and he viewed it as, you know, now we're the enemy.
If you watch Kyle as long as I have, you would understand that, like, he's very, very consistent. He's held the same positions for the longest time. He's completely authentic. And to think otherwise is just dishonest. So here's the aftermath of Kyle's response to Jimmy and Aaron. This was Jimmy going on the Primo Radical podcast.
If you know anything about Ana Kasparian, she's a deeply narcissistic, jealous person, and that's how she runs her life. I mean, she went from tweeting out a doctored video of an award-winning journalist to smear him, and when she got called on it, she didn't apologize, didn't retract it, didn't even acknowledge it. Right? That should have ended her career. No one's even talking about it. Why? Because she came up with a bogus hashtag #MeToo against Jimmy Dore to deflect everybody from that. And then jackasses like Kyle Kulinski run with it in an embarrassing way. And right now, his fans are unsubscribing from his show in the thousands.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
He did an unbelievably dishonest, cowardly thing. And he revealed himself. And it was dishonest. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't an oversight. What Kyle Kulinski did was dishonest, just as dishonest as what Ana Kasparian and Cenk Uygur have been doing.
The reason that he didn't want to have you on is because he didn't want to ask you a question. So I'm just going to ask you the question that he didn't want to ask you. When you were revealing the blackmail attempt by Ana Kasparian,
again, it wasn't blackmail.
You used the term that she was dressing inappropriately. In retrospect, do you think that that was the wrong terminology to use in that response?
Now listen, this is an example of, I think that's a perfectly valid and substantive question. I don't think that's a question that validates a smear. I think that's a question a lot of people want to know the answer to. A lot of fair-minded people want to know the answer to.
The only reason I had to talk about that was because she was fucking blackmailing me. And you're gonna nitpick the words that someone who's being in the most sleaziest thing you could do, the thing you could never defend yourself from. You're gonna do. She's gonna weaponize an incident from 7 years ago. That's an obvious, transparent bullshit. She's gonna misuse the hashtags #MeToo thing that makes other women not be fucking believed. And the problem Kyle had was that I said she dressed inappropriately when I had to explain what happened. I'm sorry. I don't fucking apologize for that. And what he did was bullshit. And it should what a bullshit thing. I'm not responding to a fucking sleazy blackmail thing properly. I'm not using the proper words. Is that really the accusation? Yes. That was the accusation. And of course I showed Kyle Kulinski to be a complete full fucking outrage pearl clutcher because he had tweeted at Ana Kasparian before, hey, why don't you masturbate on camera? I bet you'd get more live stream viewers. And Ana Kasparian went back, I bet we'd get 6,000.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
They're all fucking pigs and they're trying to slime me and it's not working.
Again, it's like I mentioned, because they engaged in this deviant behavior. What I did to Ana doesn't matter. It's totally negated.
Listen, I'm in favor of jokes and I'm in favor of fucking around because I'm a big fan of political incorrectness, and I do see this hypocrisy of like people want to give themselves a pass for the political incorrectness, but then like label their opponents terrible things when they do the political incorrectness. And I don't like that game. That's a gutter game, and that's another reason why I didn't want to get involved, because I didn't want to have to break all this down and give all of my more nuanced opinions on it.
So if you haven't noticed already, Jimmy operates on whataboutism like his life depends on it. Countless examples of him just pivoting to a different subject, saying, oh, well, this happened, and this happened, these people did this, but I'm getting all this shit because of blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, as you mentioned,
I didn't fucking talk about it the right way. I'm getting fucking smeared and in the sleaziest way possible. And I said inappropriate. Oh my God, Jimmy Dore said inappropriate. Did he say inappropriate? You don't want to punch Cenk Uygur in the face for smearing Julian Assange while he's being tortured. You don't want to punch Ana Kasparian in the face for tweeting out a fucking doctored video to smear an award-winning anti-war journalist. You don't want to fucking punch Cenk Uygur in the face for calling Jimmy Dore a neo-Nazi. You don't want to punch Ana Kasparian in the face for doing an obvious, blatant misuse of the hashtag #MeToo. You don't want to no, but Jimmy Dore said inappropriate when he had to defend himself against a fucking sleazy smear. That reveals Kyle for who he is.
So he really wants to punch Cenk Uygur and Ana Kasparian in the face. That much is clear. And keep in mind, that whole 2-minute rant and ramble right there was simply because he got the slightest pushback from someone that he's directly engaging with.
You used the term that she was dressing inappropriately. In retrospect, do you think that was the wrong terminology to use in that response?
And I couldn't fucking agree more. Like, who gives a fucking shit how she dresses? But no, Jimmy Dore can't handle that, so he melts down like the fucking snowflake he is.
And those are the pieces of shit that are trying to slime me with a fucking sexual harassment thing. Fuck you. I'm not standing for it, and I'm pushing back. And if Kyle Kulinski's got a problem with the words I use, he can come on my show, but he's too big of a coward.
Yeah, again, I mean, that's just how
He ghosted me. He fucking ghosted me. I was set to go on his show, and not only did he not give me a phone call or an email or nothing, he just ghosted him and Crystal, the most unprofessional fuckers on all of YouTube. That's horrible that they did that. And I'm not going to let anybody forget that they did that, because they did that. That's cowardly with a capital C.
I will concede that the way Kyle handled everything was cowardly. I think Kyle didn't go hard enough at Jimmy because of all this. Not even close. But this is a consistent thing with Jimmy. He thinks he's so entitled to have these people on his show, or for him to go on to Crystal, Kyle and Friends, like to talk about shit. It's like, why? Just because these people don't want to go on your show to give you the satisfaction of boosting your views, boosting your numbers because of some fucking drama, which is what you've been relying on the past several weeks, doesn't mean that they're a coward. It's because they don't want to play your game.
And the same thing Crystal Ball did when she was accused of financial malfeasance with that PAC she was running. Remember, she was running a PAC? Well, McClatchy newspaper did an investigation and found out that she was paying herself most of the money they raised, right? So, and she accused them of sexism. That's what she did. That's Crystal Ball's flex. Just like Anna, when your back's up against the wall, I guess you accuse people of sexual harassment. That's what she did.
I think there is some merit to his claims about Crystal Ball there. I'm not the biggest fan of her myself. But the thing is, isn't that exactly what you do, Jimmy? When someone backs you up into a corner, when you can't really actually argue out like the details of a situation, you just label them a gutless liar, a coward, a CI shill, a paid fucking pro-war, pro-fucking MSNBC, CNN apologist, or whatever the fuck. No room to talk.
That's who they're using to report on Syria. Bellingcat. Anna was tweeting out Bellingcat. She was retweeting Bellingcat, which, if you know who they are, they're a CIA cutout. That's who she was using for her info on Syria as a journalist, while she was tweeting out a doctored video, a deceptively edited video, to smear an anti-war journalist, Aaron Matze. And Kyle didn't want to punch her in the face for that. Isn't that interesting? He didn't even fucking mention it, Primo. Kyle, what do you think you're doing? Who do you think you're fooling? You want to come for me in a dishonest way? You will pay a price.
So, Jimmy,
I'm fucking Dave Rubin? That's who you think you're dealing with?
I think the ironic thing here is Jimmy Dore revealed like 3 months ago that him and Dave Rubin are secretly friends, that he defends him, while at the same time he was calling out fake journalism.
In that article, it said they talked about Dave Rubin, and they said Dave Rubin, who has interviewed white nationalists, this and that, and blah, blah, and they named everything anti-this and anti-trans activists and everything. And I go, yeah, he does an interview show. That's what, if you're a journalist, you could say that about fucking Walter Cronkite. You could say that about anybody who's supposed to be doing interviews. They're supposed to be interviewing fucking people from all walks of life. Phil Donahue. I grew up on Phil Donahue. I know who David Duke is because he was a regular on the fucking Phil Donahue show. This idea that interviewing people who are outrageous is wrong, people who are way out of line with you politically, that is again, that is the establishment trying to control the narrative, and they're trying to keep you in your siloed away and fighting each other. That's all that is, and they're really ramping that up now because that's all they got. Because as soon as the Americans realize that this is a class war and not a left-right war, the establishment is fucked. And they're coming closer to realizing that.
So the thing about Dave Rubin is that he's a well-known grifter, and that he is one of the ones that left the left. You know, that conservative money was really talking. So that's why he's completely discredited. But this thing about talking to the opposition and whatnot, that's absolutely fine. But when it becomes a problem is when say you agree on economic issues, like you find so much common ground, but the thing with a lot of conservatives is they're wrapped up on all this culture war bullshit, this culture war nonsense, which Tucker is guilty of perpetuating. Same as Dave Rubin. They get so wrapped up on this on all this nonsense regarding the culture war and cancel culture. And the left is just crazy. The left has gone crazy with critical race theory, or gender, or trans issues, and what have you. They get so wrapped up on this meaningless bullshit that it literally plagues any potential alignment with the conservative right in this country to leftist causes, especially regarding economic issues. So Jimmy's not wrong in the sense that, like, of course, these are all class-related issues. But if you have people that, like Tucker Carlson and these pundits that fearmonger to the base so much about just meaningless shit about fucking Dr. Seuss or cancel culture or whatever, then it's going to be hard to sway these people. And that's the thing. Like, Jimmy never, ever criticizes the Republicans. It's like, who do you think is keeping these people distracted? Of course you're being criticized in certain aspects because people like Tucker Carlson have gone on anti-immigrant rants all the time. They fed into the big lie. They spread myths about election integrity. And if all you're doing, Jimmy, is feeding into that indirectly by only attacking Democrats and how they're all frauds and all sellouts and just corporate shills and who regurgitate CIA talking points, it's like, where does that leave everybody? You're not doing these conservatives any favors.
What is your actual political philosophy?
I'm a contrarian. Well, that's that first question I want to answer first. It's a great question. You mentioned this before about how there's these shit libs on the left, like TYT, and they're afraid of working with the populist right.
Yeah.
So when you hear someone say, "Hey, we have to organize along class lines," they don't realize what they're saying, because when you say, "I want to organize along class lines," that includes the other half of the country who are also workers, which means Trumpers. So if you're going to organize along class lines, you can't leave out half the country. That's not how you organize. But that's why people like TYT, I feel like, are controlled opposition, because they're here to keep us divided. And as soon as I reached out, remember I interviewed, all I did was interview a Boogaloo Boy. Now, people don't even know what a Boogaloo Boy is. Either did I.
Cenk interviewed David Duke for an hour.
I know. Cenk interviewed David Duke for an hour, but I'm not allowed to interview a Boogaloo Boy.
Whoever that writer is.
It was the whole, but there was a LA Times, it was an unbelievable
But the
smear.
New York Times one was the one where they tried to say that his conversation with David Duke, where he was like, "Oh, of course you're not racist." It was as clear as day that he was joking. It's clear as day that he was being sarcastic.
And so,
talking to David fucking Duke, the grand wizard of the KKK, and he's like, "Oh, you're not racist. Of course you're not racist." And then they take that and put it in quotes. He said to David Duke, "Of course you're not racist."
That's right. So that's like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington shit.
It's dirty, but I couldn't believe that was the New York Times. That hurt. That one hurt. because I was like, "Who the? You think it's funny?"
Yes,
I'm like,
the New York Times is horrible.
Oh, don't
They
say
are
that.
horrible.
That's all I've got left.
You don't. No.
That's all I got
You've got
left.
me, Joe.
I got you.
You've got me. You got
okay.
Kyle Kulinski.
Oh, I do have Kyle.
Right?
I love Kyle. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I brought, so people conflate the Proud Boys with the Boogaloo Boys. The Boogaloo Boys were invented as a counter to the Proud Boys because the Proud Boys were racist. The Proud Boys are pro-cop. The Proud Boys are pro-war. The Boogaloo Boys were they're pro-BLM, Black Lives Matter. In fact, there's videotape I've seen of them providing security for Black Lives Matter protests, the Boogaloo Boys. They also are pro-LGBTQ, or at least the guy I talked to was. They're anti-imperialism, they're anti-war, and they're anti-cop.
Don't want us talking to each other. I had a Boogaloo Boy on my show. I just interviewed him.
I remember that.
All I did was I started off the interview by saying, I don't know anything about the Boogaloo Boys. I am not endorsing a Boogaloo Boy. I don't know anything about it. I saw this guy give a speech at the state capitol in Michigan, and I want to have him on to pick his brain. And so I brought him on, and I interviewed him. And it turned out that the certain fractions of the Boogaloo Boys that he belongs to, they were started because they were a reaction to the Proud Boys, and they were anti-racist. And one of the things that you had to be in a Boogaloo Boy was you couldn't be racist. That I didn't know that. He also said he was providing security for the Black Lives Matter protesters. That's been documented. They did that. He's also pro-LGBTQ. I was
what do they
I
stand for?
thought you guys are fucking nuts.
Right.
But he's a gun guy. He loves guns.
They wear Hawaiian shirts.
They wear Hawaiian shirts, and they love guns. But
you can't wear Hawaiian shirts anymore because people think you're a Boogaloo Boy.
Right, they think you're a Boogaloo. So, but the Boogaloo Boys were anti-Trump, anti-cop, police brutality, anti-imperialism, anti-war, pro-LGBT, and that's what that guy told me. Now, there's no coalition, there's no central,
Right.
but so the faction that he was in was a part, and so I reached out to that guy, right, and I had the next guy came out, he goes, what do you do in platforming that guy? I go, I interviewed somebody? I go, what's your message to that guy? I go, that guy's being crushed by capitalism right now because the COVID lockdown, he didn't have a job, he didn't know what to do. And I go, that guy, you got to have a message for that guy. And he goes, I don't have a message for that guy. I go, well, that's why nobody ever fucking heard of you.
Well,
and
it's
you're a
also
shitty organizer.
The problem with any kind of organization that anybody could join, whether it's the Boogaloo Boys or anybody, you could start off good. You could start off with a good intention, and then you'll get co-opted by the government.
So people conflated those two things. So when you organize in a populist way along class lines, that's going to include that guy that was on my show, because that guy's being crushed by fucking neoliberalism too. He was also being crushed by the COVID shot lockdowns, just like everyone else. So when you're going to organize along class lines, that includes the other half of the country, which means Trumpers, and people don't realize that.
This relates to exactly what I was just talking about. It's fine to organize along class lines with people who don't share your ideology. If you notice there, not once did Jimmy address the question.
What is your actual political philosophy?
He never answered what his ideology was. He completely avoided it. He doesn't even have an ideology. That's the thing. As long as you'll come on his show and make his channel grow, it's really all that matters to him. Oh, but if you disagree, you're a paid CIA shill. You're pro-war, pro-imperialist. Oh, and you're a shitlib. Can't forget that one.
Why is it, people always like to criticize me for going on Tucker Carlson to speak to the other half of the country, the other working half of the country, and also speak to the president. I think we should shame people who need to make money from racist organizations like Fox News. People forget when they see me on Tucker Carlson is that I'm not turning down invitations from Rachel Maddow, Chris Hayes, and fake tough guy Lawrence O'Donnell. No, they're not inviting me. In fact, they're not inviting people like me on their show. So that's the real scandal. And of course, the shitlibs turn it on its head. Just like Kyle Kulinski turned Ana Kasparian trying to blackmail me on its head, like somehow she was a victim. That was fucking unbelievable, Primo. I'm still reeling from it. I can't, and he's doubling down on it today, Kyle Kulinski. What a motherfucker.
He can't let it go. Kyle specifically said that he was taking Jimmy's side, and that he agreed with him on the issues, And that's not enough for him. He's got to feed into the blackmail, which is not even blackmail, it's just complete bullshit. And to address the beginning of the clip, the reason people criticize you for going on Tucker Carlson, who was responsible for so much misinformation, so much propaganda, is that you don't challenge him on any of it. He's allowed to spew all this hateful rhetoric and all these lies unchallenged because he has one of the biggest platforms in American politics. Maybe I'll start taking your defense of him seriously when he has on Sam Seder, maybe Richard Wolff. Hey, here's what you should do, Jimmy. Get a hold of Tucker Carlson. Say, like, hey, can you have on Noam Chomsky? Can you have on Abby Martin? Maybe Chelsea Manning? See what he says. And this is just an aside, but since it's related to his podcast appearances, and he's been on several podcasts the last several weeks. Not a single question is asked that isn't already affirming his positions. Has Jimmy gone on any small podcast where the host actually asked him a single difficult question? Or is he only taking invites from the Jimmy Dore Defense League, his bros who kisses his ass the entire time? Has anyone even given just a bit of pushback without facing his wrath or his fans' wrath or not? And so when actual good news comes out, genuine progress, so to speak, how does he respond? Well, the legislation was just announced that expands Medicare and lowers the eligibility age. And this is how Jimmy responds to actually good things happening that he would otherwise be in favor of nowadays.
So they're going to lower the Medicare eligibility age from 65 to 60. Now, I'm going to tell you why that is garbage. First of all, it doesn't do anything for people under 60.
A fair point.
Second of all, that's another giveaway to the health insurance companies. How could that be, Jimmy?
Yeah, how can that be, Jimmy?
Because the sickest people that the health insurers have to insure are the 60 to 65-year-old people. They're the ones who are taking up all their money. So they want to push those sick people off on the government. And that's exactly what they did.
Isn't that exactly what we want? What the fuck are you talking about, dude? What the fuck?
So now their profits are going to go up because of this.
Wait. So if they're no longer covering them because they're on Medicare, how are their fucking profits going up?
The 60 to 65-year-old people suck their profits out. Now the government's going to pay it.
Not only are those people still paying into those insurance companies for coverage, but you're ignoring the fact that these people are going to be covered by Medicare. Does it not matter that more people are actually going to be not only covered by Medicare, but have dental and vision taken care of? I mean, you were even saying before that TULSI's plan is preferable to to what we have now. And you gave her credit for that, but you can't give a little credit for this? Like, I just really do not get how people can look at Jimmy and say, this guy is the progressive of progressives. It's like, yeah, he's really sticking it to the establishment or whatever the hell. He's calling out everybody. Look at this. We're going to do a little compare and contrast here. Like, I don't understand. Like, Jimmy's output of videos. Look at this. Okay. Here's like 3 rows here. A few videos recently. Scroll down a few rows. Are they 3 weeks? A month? Okay. And what exactly were we looking at here? Young Turks, Ryan Grimm, just drama shit. Russiagate shit. Saves his dog. Okay. TYT, more TYT shit. Glenn Greenwald, more TYT shit. Fucking, like, what exactly is going? More TYT shit. Julian Assange. Fucking more the drama shit. It's just a whole bunch of drama. It's all the same shit, like, you know. But let's look at just to trigger a bunch of the Jimmy Dore fans in here. Let's look at the majority report. several videos in one day. Tim Pool, Dr. Fauci, COVID-19 surge, poking fun at conservatives. You scroll down. This is only just a week ago. We're still scrolling. We're still scrolling. By this point, we're already 2 months in for the Jimmy Dore channel. Okay, what about... I don't know. What about fucking secular talk? He uploads a lot. This bunch of shit doesn't seem like much drama to me. Look, scrolling down. Yeah, just 2 weeks ago. Do you get where I'm coming from? Do you understand what I'm saying? It's a low output from Jimmy, and there's really not much substance. It's a lot of the same shit.
Jimmy Dore has the ability to speak to people who may not know all that much about politics, but they're angry.
Now they know
bringing them
less.
in with that anger.
Now they know less.
Sorry?
Now they know less.
I don't know how you can watch Jimmy Dore and feel like you're being informed on what's happening in the world. Hell, fucking you can go to Democracy Now! And actually feel like you're being educated on some shit. Oh, AOC was on recently. I think I might check that out. Wonder what kind of CIA fucking talking points that she's peddling on there, huh? I guess Democracy Now! is a CIA mouthpiece outlet now. So we're finally approaching the end here. I've been at this for like 3 hours. Actually, longer than that. Way longer than that, because I had to prepare the script and put down the notes, like which video's going where, which notes do I have. But we're finally approaching the end. So if everything in this video still isn't getting through to you, and you're somehow still thinking, well, Jimmy just believes in the same things that I do, or Jimmy holds the right positions, he's a true progressive, or he's the best progressive out there, I'm sorry. You're in a bubble, and your diet of progressive pundits and content creators is extremely stunted. Because personally, in my opinion, I don't think Jimmy Dore has better content than, say, Secular Talk, The Humanist Report, Dylan Burns, The Rational National, Cody Johnson and Some More News, Sam Seder, Emma Vigeland, The Majority Report in general, The Michael Brooks Show, rest in peace, Benjamin Dixon, Democracy Now!, Adam Something, Big Joel, The Ring of Fire, Vaush, Bo of the Fifth Column, Radical Reviewer, The Surfs, Hassan Piker, Thought Slime, Trey Crowther, not Steven Crowther, Jimmy, Vadim Newquist, Tim Black, Mouthy Infidel, Bad Empanada, on YouTube only. Do not go on any other site. Jose, Zoe Baker, aka Anarcho Pack, The Gravel Institute, Ben Burgess, Xander Hall, Richard D. Wolf, Merrick DeVell, Re-Education, Demon Mama, ContraPoints, Philosophy Tube, Sean, Three Arrows, Kraut, Nomiki Konst, hell, even David Pakman, The Progressive Voice, and even high-budget shows hosted by progressives like Patriot Act with Hassan Minaj and Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. Before I wrap all of this up, this super long project, I want to show you all a clip from a Humanist Report video about terminally online leftists, and I use the term leftists very lightly. The entire video is great, but I'm only going to show you a clip, and it's perfect when it comes to online culture and just infighting within the left. People that spend all day scrolling on Twitter. No one's actually talking. No one's actually communicating. They just have their talking points. They have their favorite content creators and whatnot that they prop up and they defend at all costs. They have their positions, original or not, that they will not dare allow to be challenged. And this is just poisoning discourse. Everybody's guilty of it. But a lot of it has to do with what you saw in this video. Take a look at this clip.
So, for example, there's a lot of people that were angry that AOC didn't tweet about the Medicare for All marches. And I think that that's reasonable, right? It would have been great if she used her platform to do that. But that doesn't mean that AOC is a sellout. And just me saying that AOC isn't a sellout is in and of itself a cancelable offense. But you have to understand, people, that AOC, even if she did everything that we wanted her to do, the issue is that AOC is just one member of Congress. Right? AOC doesn't have some magical Medicare for All button that she can press that immediately gives us Medicare for All. That's not the way that it works, unfortunately. I wish that it were that easy, but that's not actually the world that we're living in. She can't do that. So even if AOC all of a sudden became even more radical, took the advice of the online left, the terminally online individuals, myself included, I'm in this category, and she became a communist and like went full like, fuck the Democratic Party, fuck Nancy Pelosi. Still, that would be awesome to see, but would that get us any closer to Medicare for All? No, because we have to really tend to focus on the centers of power. And this is why I say we have to recalibrate, because every once in a while, our anger drives us to irrational places to where we see someone who's actually an ally to us as not just an enemy, but public enemy number one. And the reason why AOC is so hated by the online left after being loved by her is because there are some individuals with very large followings that get extra views and clicks when they shit on someone like AOC.
Sounds super familiar, right? Instead of approaching the subject about the progressives in Congress in a nuanced way, if anyone gives the slightest bit of credit to the progressives, you're immediately dismissed. This is toxic. There's just one more tiny clip left in that I want to show you.
So understand that there are a lot of enemies in politics, and your anger is justified. But if you're not directing it at the right people, then you're not going to affect change. That's just a fact.
Perfectly stated. This is why I genuinely feel if you're watching people like Jimmy Dore, you're completely out of focus. Your eye's not on the ball at all. You're in La La Land. You're mad at just the most wrong things that you could possibly be mad at. Of all the things in the world. Sure, don't get me wrong. Like, there's a lot of people that actually, like, understand, yeah, both parties suck. Yeah, the CIA is shit. No one likes the CIA. Obviously, we should be ending the wars out in the Middle East. But obviously, it's a lot more complex and nuanced than you think. And that's not a CIA talking point. That's just a fact. And the same goes for Washington. It's real. But at the same time, none of these things are that hard to understand if you just bother to just stray away from your immediate talking points that you have programmed into, that you're prepared to say at any given moment. People wonder why the left is so divided today, and I'm sorry, but a huge reason is because of the content put out by Jimmy Dore. Of course, it's not just him, it's a lot of similar YouTubers like him. Instead of the very people in power that have held back progressives for decades, he'd rather focus on other lefties as if they're the ones in power preventing actual change. Progressives have little to no power right now. AOC and the squad just got into Congress like 3 years ago. 3 years ago! Whereas demented tools like Pelosi have been there since what, the 80s, the 70s, same as Joe Biden? And yeah, I know Jimmy Dore attacks Pelosi, obviously. But the squad are only 7 or 8 people out of, what, 435 representatives? You really think we have the power and the ability to drastically and fundamentally change an entire system with these few people? You really think we have that kind of power and ability to fundamentally just overhaul a system of 5 or 6 decades of neoliberal decay? 5 years ago, some people didn't even know what a socialism was. This is why I made this project, because I genuinely care about actual progress, achieving genuine progressive victories, not dragging the only allies we have around us down because they're not doing enough, not tarnishing other independent progressive media because they're not 100% aligned with you, or they happen to call you out on your lies or your bullshit. It gives independent media, especially progressive media, a bad name. And it's like, we want to be taken seriously, don't we? But then there's Jimmy Dore. And it just ruins it for the rest of us. So obviously I have to speak up about all this. Because who else will? Who else is going to devote the time and energy to something like this? I don't like talking about personalities. I like talking about... I almost said ideas. I immediately thought of Dave Rubin. Oh my God. Money talks. Money talks.
These people are held hostage because Jimmy Dore's fans are their fans. And so if they don't do everything that Jimmy Dore wants them to do, then they're going to lose all of their money, all of their audience, all of their everything. So they're held hostage. But trust me, you will deviate even slightly, and he's going to turn on you, just like he's turned on Mike Figueredo. I'm suspecting the next person he's going to turn on is actually Kyle Kulinski. I'm not sure when that's going to happen, and Kyle Kulinski is an even more fervent supporter of force the vote than Jimmy Dore is. Certainly provides better arguments in a more rational manner. But as you can see, Mike Figueredo, even a very strong supporter of force the vote, not a Russiagator, any of this crazy stuff. But he will turn on you as well. He will turn on you. So it's really just sort of a circular firing squad at this point. Anybody who isn't Jimmy Dore, no matter what you say, no matter what you do, he will turn on you, and you will then be a CIA paid shill sellout who, is being paid by, I don't know, take your pick, Clinton and Yahoo, whatever, NATO pay, you're on NATO's payroll. Just so fucking stupid.
So everybody, please understand, this is only scratching the surface when it comes to the dumb things that Jimmy believes in and has said in the past. The reason he gets so angry is because he's politically inept and gets frustrated by that fact. He has no real-world solutions and contributes to the left in no positive way. Among the several things detailed in this video, the reason I stopped watching Jimmy Dore is because too much of his content is exactly the same. Yes, I know that we need Medicare for all. Yes, I know that we need to raise the minimum wage. Yes, I know that we need a general strike in this country. Yes, I know the Democrats suck. I've made videos on it. Yes, I know we need to end the wars. But don't tell me that the only way to get progressive policies like Medicare for all is your way or the highway. Don't tell me that the only way to pressure the only progressive allies that we have in Congress is to bully them and smear them. Don't tell me that the way we get a general strike is to ignore the fact that union protections get stripped away one by one by allowing Republicans to have control of Washington and pick the Supreme Court justices. Don't tell me that the gray zone knows what's best about foreign policy in the Middle East when they are provably linked to Russian state media, and that immediately pulling out all American troops somehow actually stabilizes the Middle East right now. It's the same thing we saw with Trumpists. Just because Jimmy pisses off people you don't like doesn't make him correct, well-informed, or politically literate. And if you disagree with anything I've said, then you're a CIA paid shill, pro-war, pro-imperialist, pro-genocide, McCarthyite, lying fake leftist shitlib. I'll leave this off with the wise words of Michael Brooks. Please check out this full video linked below.
Dude, if you want to do politics, you got to fucking understand the issues. It's not all just emotions and fantasy life. Or if you want to do emotions and fantasy life, then own it and just do critique, and that's great. But don't call people who actually care about the process and bother to do some fucking research dummies because they look at things a little bit structurally. It's an easy hustle. It's an easy market. It's an easy game. But it's not contributing to anything. It's not going to help us win. And to me, it seems like, if anything, at this point, this is helping Trump. If we have to fight neoliberals, we have to fight Trump, we have to fight establishment Democrats, we have to deal with the corporate hegemony, we have to deal with ideological conformity of a global elite, do we really need to spend our time on YouTube just giving people dumb emotional releases? Or actually help them think about how they actually get power? And I know that was spoken like a true fucking corporate sellout. Get the fuck out of here, man. Do some research. Get serious. And don't be a coward. You didn't mention my name. You haven't had Sam on your show. Engage.
Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. Like, comment, share this if you could. Somebody had to say it. Somebody had to just put this all together, you know? So I figured, since I actually care about the issues and I care about getting things right, and I care about the truth, I care about unity and solidarity with the left, and actually furthering left goals through any means necessary, utilizing all factors, all possibilities. I think Jimmy just threatens that, and Jimmy and all his sycophants. So thank you guys. Thank you so much.
I tried muting Jimmy Dore because I was just tired of every fucking goddamn commentator I follow. Jimmy Dore. You hear what Jimmy Dore said? You hear what Jimmy Dore did now? Look at what Jimmy Dore did. Hey guys, you hear about Jimmy Dore? You see what Jimmy Dore? Jimmy Dore. 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 Me agree with Jimmy Dore. Me disagree with Jimmy Dore. We hate each other now. When did Jimmy Dore become the fucking linchpin of it all? When did everyone on the left define themselves by their support of or opposition to Jimmy fucking spitting Viper Dore? Like, is he really worth it? You fucking demagogue suck. Which demagogue you want to follow? I follow this demagogue. No, that demagogue is wrong. I follow this demagogue. It's like, quit following fucking demagogues and think! Just fucking think, please, God, think! Think for your fucking selves, please! I'm begging you. I'm fucking begging you to fucking find 2 neurons in your head that haven't fucking atrophied beyond usage and get them to send an electrical impulse one to the other and form your own independent fucking thought. When did we all become so fucking comfortable outsourcing our thought process to demagogues? What am I talking about? Humanity's always functioned like that, right? Well, stop! Maybe that's the fucking problem, eh?